So Katie, I was just saying, and I was telling Andy and Cassie that I'm struggling a little bit with what to talk about during this, but I figured that we could, a couple things that we can start by talking about what specific challenges people have been noticing related to the nutrition since being quarantined at home or staying at home. And then how can we help each other through that? And then just a couple small strategies, nothing earth-shattering, about how we can think about preparing healthy foods or planning for not being able to go to the grocery store on a daily basis or even on a whim or anything like that, but going once a week and stocking up, and how you can still have veggies and things like that. With that, I don't know, what have you guys noticed over the past week? What's different in terms of nutrition, eating, drinking, water?
Oh, David.
Hey, David.
Hello.
Hello. So David, I'll just give the same spiel and Cassie and Andy have heard a couple times. We're gonna use this time to talk about challenges that we've all started facing or noticing over the past week or two from being stuck inside our house related to nutrition, and then brainstorm with each other how we can help each other through that or strategies for that. And then just a few quick and simple strategies for thinking about nutrition when you can't go to the grocery store on a daily or even bi-weekly basis, when you can only go once a week or something like that. And then just some kind of, I don't want to say mental tricks, but some approaches to getting through the day. So I don't know. And if anybody has any questions, if anybody brought any questions to this, A, you get a bingo square if you did. And then B, I'm happy to do my best to answer. So let's start out with any questions.
I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, so Andy and I were talking about this earlier, and I want a bingo square, so I'm going to ask it now too.
Yeah, good.
So if you drink like protein shakes usually after you work out,
yeah,
which is great,
yep.
But then on the days that you don't work out, do you still drink the protein shake? Because usually you would drink it after you work out, or I would. So should you still drink it or not, or what's the...
Yeah, you can, and there's a couple of thoughts about the protein timing and things like that. First, it isn't the whole 30-minute window after you finish working out to get protein in isn't really quite as important as people once thought it was, unless you're like elite level athletes. So you don't necessarily have to do that. It's really more about what you get in over the course of the day and, on average over the course of the week. There is if you drink the protein, especially easily digestible protein like whey, right after a workout, your body is able to grab that and be able to use it for muscle recovery. But in general, over the day, we get it. I would say, it's about if you think you're getting enough protein. And most of us, I don't think there's really any of us that I've talked with at PFD who are getting too much protein. So I would say it's probably fine and still a good idea to include it because it adds 25 grams of protein. It's only 120 calories usually, so it's not that big. If you're going to cut something out on the days that you're not working out, it probably would be more in the way of carbohydrates or something like that, like just taking out that banana or something like that, or like a piece of bread. Like a protein shake isn't that much in terms of adding to your overall nutritional intake. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say still keep taking it. I probably don't, like on days that I work out, I might have 2. And on days that I don't work out, I might only have 1 if I remember. So unless I feel like I was doing a good job of protein, but I don't usually. I struggle with it. So yeah. Does that help?
Yes. Thank you.
Cool. Bingo square. Yay. Any other questions that you guys have going off?
I guess my thing is that I typically would meal prep, but without the schedule, I'm not kind of making myself do that.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to figure out how to best get myself to trick myself into being on a schedule again.
Yeah. No, that's kind of what I've noticed too, is I was much better about cooking things in batch and dividing them up. And then once the quarantine started, I was like, we're here every day. Like, why do I need to do that? So what are the reasons why you would want to do it?
Well, so I don't really get hungry. I don't feel hunger generally, so I can skip a lot of meals.
Okay.
And so I've been really good about hydration. I've been tracking that every day, but it's too much of a hassle for me. I know I'm excuse right now to track food intake.
Oh, I don't like to. Don't worry.
It's a pain, right?
Yeah. Some people do, some people don't.
Yeah. I'm still working full time, like I think most of us are.
Yep.
And so it's like I don't have any extra time still.
Right.
And
right.
so if I'm not tracking it and then I don't eat or forget to eat whether it's ready to go, I can just go and grab it and eat.
Right.
So I think I've been kind of like skipping at least one meal a day.
Yep. Hey, there's Katie.
Oh, Katie.
Can you hear us, Katie?
I think it's muted, so you got to unmute it.
Now she's connected.
Maybe. Katie, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey.
All right. Sorry.
So for me, I think the biggest thing is one, to keep the schedule, and then two, to make sure that I'm actually I think I've skipped breakfast and I've had lunch at like 1 or 2 o'clock every day the past 3 or 4 days, 5 days.
Yep.
So
yeah, I've actually found myself in a similar situation where I'm not getting up at the crazy early hours anymore, and so I don't eat breakfast until I get up, and then I don't eat lunch until like 2 because I've stopped. Like I only eat now when I do get hungry. I guess in terms of prepping, I would start with, if you have a couple favorite recipes, start with those. Like start with the ones that are favorites or that are super easy or that you have something for, and go with those. And then, do you, like when you do your meal prep, do you make a recipe and then eat through that for like 3 days and make another one? Or do you make a couple on Sunday and then kind of go through
one at a time?
Yeah. Hold on, I have to go let a dog in now.
I like that one of you's in the window and one of you's in the wall, so it's almost like they're not together.
I know,
Right.
it threw me off at first. How did they do that?
What?
We're sitting on the couch, so.
But it looks like they split screened it the way they had it positioned.
It did, you're right.
Oh, there's Penny. Hi, Penny.
Penny's snuggling.
Penny's snuggling. Zoe's too busy being Zoe. Okay, so you eat one thing, eat through it, or you make one thing, eat through it, and then a couple days later make something else.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, tell us, how about use us to hold you accountable?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing with skipping breakfast is that's when I get most of my fruit in for the day, would be typically. And so skipping that, I noticed yesterday I didn't have any. And the day before, I don't think I had any fruit either.
Okay.
Just because if I don't eat it at breakfast, I tend not to eat it.
Not to eat it. I'm assuming, are you getting up at a different time, probably?
Around 6.
Around 6. Okay, so you're still getting up at kind of a normal time. And you're just, the reason that you're not eating breakfast, kind of forgetting?
Yeah, so I'm not hungry ever really. And then typically, like, if I went to work out or if I knew I was going to work, then I would, use that as like a, reminder to go eat.
Yeah.
But I can just kind of lounge around and, not do too much. And I don't actually have to physically go to work, so.
Yeah.
What about setting an alarm on your phone?
Yeah, an alarm on your phone or a post-it note on your
Alarm.
computer when you close it down at night that says, go eat.
Katie, eat. Cassie says eat. You can use my name. I can be on your alarm.
Yeah.
Okay, can I get it? Can you record that and I'll put it on there and play that?
Okay, I'll send you a audio.
Okay.
That would be great. Do you think that would work, Katie? Would that help?
Yeah, it's got to be like her anger voice, like
Katie,
your mom's scolding me.
can you do that? Can you set little recordings to be the alarm?
You can set whatever you want. If you have the Google alarm clock or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can have it launch whatever you want it to.
Oh my gosh. Oh, you guys, this is a new power. All right, I'm gonna set up for my kids too. Okay, so let's try that. Cassie's gonna use her mom voice, channel that, send it to Katie. Katie's gonna use that for the Google alarm to remind herself to eat breakfast before she goes to work in the morning.
Work.
Yep, see work. So that'll help kick it off. And then I would pick 2 recipes, make one today or tomorrow, and then make the next one on Wednesday or Thursday. And if you want to tell us so that you hold us accountable or Cassie scolds you, we can do that.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Any other questions or things that people have noticed?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So if we want to start cutting out processed foods, but
Which is a
we
bingo
don't-
square, by the way. Yeah.
But say we don't even know how to identify what is processed versus not processed.
Yeah, and you know, I was a little torn on that bingo square. That might not be the best square for right now, considering
We have no other food.
right, like it's buying. I mean, it's, you know, I'd say there's kind of different levels of processed. Like, you know, the frozen pre-made breakfast sandwiches probably count as processed. Obviously, Doritos, American cheese, you know, Campbell's soup, kind of things like that would count as processed. But you know, right now we're needing to buy things that can be stable a little bit longer. So a little bit by definition, we might have to do more processing or more freezing. You know, you can buy things that aren't processed, like meats, obviously, and cut them up or divide them up into little baggies of the size that you might want to use them. Like if you go to the store and you get a big thing of stew, like beef stew meat, you know, put it into different size baggies that you might need for different recipes and pull them out as you need them, or obviously for chicken breast, same kind of thing. For veggies, you know, frozen veggies can be a great option. Canned veggies too. I'm not as big of a fan of canned veggies, but if they work well for you, then you can do those. Processed, but still, you know, less so. Well, I don't really. Then if they come with like the fake butter sauce and all of that kind of stuff. You know, whole grains, the non-processed ones would be, you know, any kind that you have to make yourself. So whether that be a rice, and it wouldn't be like a 5-minute rice, you know, the Ben's 5-minute rice would be this one because it's already been partially cooked. So the less that somebody or something or a company has kind of dealt with the food beforehand, the more not processed it is. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
A little bit, kind of. I mean, cereals, again, you know, cereals are going to be processed because you're not making your own cereal, but there's going to be different levels. Like Frosted Flakes and Trix are a much more processed cereal than like Kashi or something like that. So there's going to be different levels. But you know, if you wanted to make your own, you could get steel cut oats and make a big, now my cat's sneezing, make a big batch of those. And then you would be having, you know, non-processed whole foods for breakfast that you did yourself.
Do you think that there's like maybe, you know, X number of ingredients or less would be a better way to look at it?
Sometimes. Yeah, that can be a good way to think about it too. The fewer number of ingredients, the less processed usually it is.
I also heard if you read the ingredients and you know what each one is,
Yeah.
that's beneficial too. Like as long as you're not a chemist type of person, but.
Right. Well, but I also like that one. I'm medium on because you can make water sound really scary by dihydrogen monoxide, but it's just water. And so I don't, you know, and it kind of depends on how they decide to whether they put the scientific name of, you know, sunflower oil in there or not. So that it can be a guideline, but don't let scientific names scare you off. That's kind of what I want to say, is because sometimes, you know, it's what we know and what we don't know. Does that make sense? So it's a guideline, but not a hard and fast rule.
Okay.
Is there a specific something that you're wondering about?
Like I'm thinking like a frozen veggie burger.
Yeah.
Like that. I'm assuming that's processed.
Yeah.
But I guess how do I know that?
How do you?
Like should I read the label and start finding scientific names of things I don't understand in there?
No, I mean, you know, a veggie burger by definition is going to be processed unless you make it yourself.
Okay.
It doesn't.
Like you black beans and spices and smush them together at home.
Yep. So you can make your own veggie burgers, and it's actually pretty easy. Like if you have a Cuisinart, I have a recipe for a decent black bean burger I could send you. So by like that by definition is going to be a processed food.
Okay.
And sometimes like the processed vegetarian things tend to be really, really high in sodium. So you just kind of want to be a little bit careful of those. But like Cassie said, you can make them and then either eat them all right away. You can cook them all right away and put them into the freezer, pre-cooked. You can put them into the freezer raw and thaw them. I think I've found when I've done it, I haven't done it in a while, but it works a little bit better to pre-cook them and then freeze them, just because the veggie or like the bean burger patty, at least Cassie, when you make them, are they pretty
No, I haven't made them. I just
haven't.
I've made them before.
All right, Katie, what is yours like? Are they pretty?
They're loose. You have to you can't cook them on the grill like you can
Yeah.
a frozen veggie burger. You have to cook it in a pan and it kind of falls apart, and it's not as good because if you like the flavor of a frozen veggie burger, because they have a bunch of different stuff in those.
Yeah.
But I don't know, there's some pretty good recipes out there. It's just going to be a different consistency.
Right. I think that's kind of the way to look at it.
I made them a long time ago with rice too in there.
Yeah, that's good.
And those hold together better because of the starch.
Okay.
Yes.
You have to pre-cook everything and then just kind of reheat it later.
Okay. The other one I used had oatmeal in it.
Oh yeah, that's good.
And it was crumbly but they were good. I like them. But they don't, like bean burgers obviously don't, even processed bean burgers don't taste the same as veggie burgers. So I guess a veggie burger, if you want to see if there would be like a tofu version or something like that. Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll share my recipe for the bean burgers that I've used in the past. If anybody else has any good ones, Katie, if you have yours, or either of the Katies, if you have yours. But that's good. Any other specific foods, David, that you're wondering about?
That's it for now, I think.
Okay. But yeah, like the fewer ingredients, the better. Like, we're not all going to make our own tortillas. But if you look at your tortillas, more than likely it's just going to be flour, and unless you get something, that would be one where the fewer ingredients and the more you can understand them, the better. Yeah. Does that help?
Yeah, that helps.
Okay. Any other general bingo square? And for Katie. You're in my upper right-hand corner, Katie, which is why I'm pointing it. Any other?
Middle on mine.
What'd you say?
I'm in the middle on mine.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Any other questions that you guys have coming in? So for me, and just the things that I've noticed over the past week, I'm not eating as regularly as Katie Olson was talking about. I think some of it, I'm not moving around as much. Like, normally when I'm working at the gym, like I'm always walking, always moving. And so now that I'm home, I'm not. So I'm not as hungry. But I don't think I've been drinking as much. Like I've now realized it and trying to make a concerted effort to keep track of how many water bottles. But
yeah,
when I'm not at the gym or at home, I'm not drinking as much. So I noticed that, so I wanted to make some changes. When I go to work or go to the gym, I pack my lunch. So I think about it a little ahead of time. I make sure that there are veggies and things like that in there. But now that I'm at home and I'm just pulling things out of the fridge as I feel like, I don't pull out veggies. Like I'm much better at eating my veggies if I pack them, and like that's what I'm going to be eating. So I noticed like there have been a couple days where I didn't eat a single veggie all day. And so that's going to be going into this week. Like last night I was like, all right, I'm chopping some peppers, getting the carrots ready. I roasted some broccoli. I'm going to roast some frozen Brussels sprouts today. So they do have some, and then I can start to kind of make like I have a mental checklist of things that I want to make sure that I'm eating, that I'm going through and eating those. I haven't been doing as much of the protein shake things. I've kind of gotten off, and like for some reason working out at home, it doesn't feel like I should have a protein shake afterwards, which I don't know why. Like I think I associate the protein shake with the gym or something. So having to like remind myself that I still need to do that. Yeah, and then not really eating much in the afternoon. It's just getting off sync with lunches and schedules and everything like that. So like for me, my goals this week remember the veggies, remember the water, and make sure that I'm still getting those protein shakes in there like I normally do. So
I kind of feel like since we've been home and things are kind of crazy and stupid in the world right now, I'm like, well, I deserve dessert. Or
oh, absolutely. Oh, yes.
deserve this thing that is
Yes.
going to make me feel better if I eat it or drink it or whatever. Like, I'm dealing with this and I deserve it. And I understand that that's not a very healthy relationship with food, but I've still been doing it.
Yeah, I've done that too. I chips have become, like, salty things have become my thing within the past year. And yeah, like mid-afternoon, I'm like, I'm stressed and I'm tired of this. I'll let myself have some chips. And that, like, I don't do that. I don't do that. But I've fallen and I'm like, no. We gotta, like, I kind of said I would give myself like a week of that kind of grieving, indulgent, sort of stuff. And then try and kind of get back to things this week. So, because we are, as Cassie, as you posted on Facebook, like, we are grieving. It's a big change in our lives and we're not getting to do what we need to do and we're grieving that loss. And you want to be a little gentle with yourself when you're grieving. But we also want to make sure that we don't make ourselves feel worse, especially with, I think, this sort of situation. Because it's like, yeah, that's a good point. Any other changes that anybody has noticed?
I mean, my wine intake has gone way up, but
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't drink wine, so you don't have it in the house. That helps me.
We
That's
do.
hard. Yeah.
We have like nasty. That he
What
cooks
did you say?
with. Yeah, we have like the wine that he cooks with, but that's not any good.
Oh, yeah, no, then that's not
you can
good.
get it delivered to your house,
I just saw on Facebook that El Charo in Verona, they now have you can do like when you drive up to take out, they have alcohol. So I'm pretty sure you could get like some type of picture of margaritas or something.
You can get margaritas to go right now, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Wells does make your own margarita kits or something, don't they? And I think Toot and Kate's does wine and charcuterie boards or cheese boards.
Yeah.
Or something.
So?
Yeah, to go. Yeah.
Like Tuesdays and Saturdays, you have to call ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
And Rob went to Vintage last night and got some beer curbside pickup. So
Yeah. Fisher
Yeah, like
King.
a growler. Yeah.
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 So Wisconsin will find a way. Yeah. I know. Mine went up initially, and then now I'm kind of to the point, like, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm sort of bored of the drinking wine. I know, Katie, it doesn't make sense.
How much are having? I'm like, a glass a day is like an increase for me.
Oh, okay.
How much are you drinking?
Well, I usually have like a glass a day. I don't, so like I kind of fluctuate, but I usually have a glass a day, and lately it's been like a glass and a half, or like let me just have a little bit more. So, or else I'll share a beer with Rob or something like that. So
Yeah.
yeah. But it's yeah, we'll find other ways to deal.
If you're getting bored of it, you're doing something wrong.
I know. Well, or that's just fine. I'm actually just fine with that. That's fine. I think it's because, like, oh, there's nothing to do. I don't know. Let's see. Any other questions or noticings?
I think for a while when I was just noticing something, when I was kind of tracking all the nutrition, I'd stopped doing that for a while just because I was eating the same things over and over again,
Right.
and coming up with the same results, which I thought was within the macro range of acceptable.
Yep.
But now I've started kind of tracking again on a daily basis, or at least trying to.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, my meals are now completely different than what I'm used to eating. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it
What
took
have
me
you
probably
found?
sorry.
What have you found by starting to tracking again, other than, things are completely different?
So I think the same thing when you guys have been saying that you've just been skipping meals.
Yeah.
When I was going for a while, realizing that I was completely off, and then I started tracking again, it was like, oh, I've eaten 500 too few calories today.
Yep.
Or like 700 too few calories today, which I think was always my problem before, that I just never would eat enough.
Yep. Yep.
So that was at least one thing I saw when I started tracking again.
Yeah. I know. I have thought about, I've done that before where I've started tracking and then I kind of get like, this is where I generally fall. So once I know that, and this is what I generally eat in a day, that I'm within my ranges. And I've thought that maybe starting this week, I'll track in a couple days just to see where I am, because everything is so off and so different. And you know, sure, our calorie needs have changed a little bit, but yeah, I think that's probably a smart idea.
Yeah, I'm used to having lunch at Epic, and at Epic they have like the meal, and then they have the nutritional facts, including the calories for like the portion.
Yeah.
And so like I always know when I'm Epic, like I want to find an entree that's between like 400 and 500 calories. Is usually what I try to do with one of the entrees that they have for lunch. Yeah. And so now when I'm at home, I just go to the fridge and get XYZ whatever. And since I haven't been tracking, I don't know how many calories that is, whatever. And so like, at least when I was at work and they would make it for me and I knew how many calories it was, I was like, that's like my regular range of lunch. Whereas now I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be, I think that might be a good idea. Like, you don't have to track long term, like David was saying, but tracking for a few days to find out like what really the change in life, what impact that's had on your nutrition. And then that'll give you some information about what changes you need to make. You know, and maybe you'll find out, like David, you aren't eating as many calories, or Katie, as you need to be, or maybe you'll find out you're eating too many, especially because like my kids, they bake as one of their things to do, which is great. Like Carson and Emily really like baking, but then we pretty much have cake every day. So
Yeah. Yeah.
wine, cake and wine every day, guys. This is it's gonna come out really well. So yeah, maybe we all try that for a few days, or else this is the week when we kind of get back on track.
Try what? Tracking?
Tracking, yeah. And just see. And like, again, like David said, it doesn't have to be a long-term thing, but just to give you some data about where you're at right now. And then, you know, probably you'll eventually fall into a schedule. Like, you know, Katie also, you'll eventually fall into a schedule. It'll be a different schedule than what you have when you leave the house to go to work, but hopefully you fall into something and that you can get used to eating, especially with Cassie's reminders at certain times of the day. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll show you, like, I mentioned my thing is vegetables. And I like roasted vegetables. And so I made this, and I've talked about these before, just thinking about how to get veggies in your diet when you can't go to the store a couple of times a week, stocking up on frozen veggies. And you can roast those and they actually come out pretty good. They're not as good as fresh, but you know, we're at where we are right now. And so I just like preheat the oven to 400 degrees. You want to use a pan that's big enough that every piece of vegetable touches the pan, so that you don't have some double layered or something like that, because you want to get some of the browning. If you're doing something that's a little bit more starchy, like a sweet potato, you might want to use, or I would recommend using parchment paper. But usually with things like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, carrots, you don't need the parchment paper, but potatoes and sweet potatoes, I've definitely found it helps to have the parchment paper. And you really just open a bag or two of frozen veggies, toss it in a bowl, or even right in the pan with about 2 tablespoons of an oil of your choice. I use olive oil. And then some salt and pepper, and then roast it at 400 degrees for 20 minutes. Just keep checking and see when it's at the tenderness level that you like. And then if at the end it's not kind of at the brownness level, like I think this happens a little bit more with Brussels sprouts than with carrots or broccoli, broil it for a little bit just so you get that crispness and that brownness that you might like. And then you can put it in the fridge. You can put it in individual Tupperwares, and you just know that you eat one of those every day. That is a strategy that I find that's helpful, and that's something that I'm going to start doing more this week to get myself eating veggies, so that we also don't have to go to the grocery store all the time, and less prep. So, anything else? All right, let's hope for some sun, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Good seeing everybody. If anything comes up, let me know afterward.
I'll send you a voice.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll work though, but I'll try.
It'll be great.
The kids can help you.
Yeah. Katie Schiebelbein, David, I don't know if you were here. Cassie is going to send Katie Olson a voice message of eat your breakfast. And Katie's going to use that as an alarm on her phone to remind her to eat breakfast, because that's one of the things that she's struggling with. So
Yeah.
Just send it to everyone. We'll all use it in some way.
Right. I know we all kind of need it. We need Casey.
I need that.
Yeah.
I don't know that my mom voice is that effective.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. It's you. It'll help. All right. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Monday.
Miss you.
Miss you.
Yo, bye.